Dude, can you pass me the Coke? Thank you. Yes, so fresh. And today we are checking out the Pena Series X Mula. Let's get it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Minimalist. My name is Brandon, and today we are checking out the Pena X-series Mula. This thing is a pretty sweet knife, and if you guys have watched my top 5 knives of 2020, this was on the list in spot number 3. So let's dive right into it, guys. I will leave the specifications in the description below so you guys can check that out, but I just want to give you guys my overall impression with this blade. I've had it for about a month and a half, 2 months now, and it's been fantastic. This guy actually comes with titanium scales, which is just absolutely beautiful, and I really enjoy the aesthetic coming from this. It looks great in pictures, and it has that kind of monochrome aesthetic, which I'm really digging right now. So the reason why this was brought to my attention is because some of the guys in my Instagram group chat, they had mentioned that this knife is very, very solid. It is more so on the smaller side, so to give you guys a quick size comparison, here is the Benchmade bug out next to the Series X Mula. So there you go. It's just a tad longer than the bug out, which I think the bug out is a fantastic size. Now, I believe this knife retails for about 280 bucks. I'm not sure if it's discontinued, but everywhere I look, it's kind of hard to find. So if you do see one of these, try to grab it as soon as you can. So this knife was designed by Enrique Pena. Not sure if I'm saying that right, so if you guys want, go ahead, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and jump into the positives and negatives with this thing. Let's start off with the negatives. There are a few of those on this list. The first thing I wanted to point out would be this pocket clip. So if you guys can see here, it is kind of in an awkward situation up top. It's not deep carry or anything, but what really kind of grinds my gears is the tension with the pocket clip. It is titanium, but it's not really flexible. So as you can see, I'm like literally pushing on it and it's not budging whatsoever. So this thing does tend to eat up your pants, shorts, whatever you're wearing. Again, guys, I say this in every single knife review video, the pocket clip makes the knife. That is probably my #1 gripe. Now, the next thing on the list would be these scales. So it's also a positive in terms of aesthetics, but these things are fingerprint magnets. So basically, if you go to use it and you've got some sweaty hands, good luck. I mean, you're probably gonna have to carry around a hank in order to clean this thing off. And to kind of give you guys a quick reference, here is the titanium scale on the Pena, and here is the titanium scale on the Chris Reeve Sebenza 31. So the 31 doesn't really attract a ton of fingerprints, and it feels quite a bit softer of a titanium versus the one on the Mula. When it comes down to it, if fingerprints are all over my knives, I don't really dig that, especially when I'm using them in tasks and stuff like that. It just kind of looks ugly and it's not very eye appealing. So the third thing on the list would be the lock bar. As you can see, there's some of these like cutouts here for that tension for the lock bar, but these cutouts started to really eat up my pants. So not only was it the pocket clip, but the lock bar was there as well. If you're planning to wear some thicker pants, I do not suggest this knife. Maybe if you break it in or, you know, do some really fine tuning. But after carrying this thing for about a month and a half, it's definitely shredded some of my pants. So those are all my negatives for the Mula. Let's move on to the positives and why it actually took #3 in my top 5 list of 2020. So the first thing I wanted to point out is the action. It is freaking fantastic, guys. It literally just has that snap of authority when you go to flick it open. And I found myself playing with this thing at my desk all the time. And there's 3 different ways of deploying it. So you can actually deploy it with your thumb, you can do the Spidey flick with it, and the front flip. So it's pretty cool to how they kind of set this up. I'm not sure if they intended for this to be a front flipping knife, but it does have some jimping here up top on the blade stock, and it is relatively easy to get it going. It does require some wrist, so you'll get used to it once you get it. It took me about a day or two to actually nail it down. Now, the Mula is operating off of caged bearings, so this thing is very, very smooth. And that goes for the deployment and closing. So again, guys, this is a titanium frame lock, and it is decently drop shut friendly. Another huge positive with this knife is it does have a lock bar insert. So it does have that really nice, I guess, like steel on steel type of lock bar action. And it's not just titanium on steel. I found myself enjoying this type of setup for the locking mechanism versus the Chris Reeve Sabenza 31. So this thing feels great in terms of action. And that's kind of like the biggest selling point of this knife for me, is it just had really solid action. It's fun to fidget with. Now let's talk about the blade itself. It is made of M390 blade steel, which is pretty much on the top of my list. This came to me with a chip, and after I fixed the chip, it really sharpened well. The heat treat was great, and it's been able to retain a really razor sharp edge, which that is just awesome. So let's talk about the aesthetics with this knife. So there is the negatives, but then there's the positives. This thing actually retains a really elegant design. I really dig the more modern aesthetic, not to mention that they did a really good job in terms of the backspacer and lanyard hole. There's some really big jimping here on that backspacer, and you don't really notice it when you're carrying it. But when I was taking pictures of the Mula, it just looked absolutely fantastic. Just check out that profile. Nothing is obtrusive, nothing is just screaming at you. It looks really nice. I believe the pivot colors on the Mula are brass, and it just kind of gives it that extra touch of style. But yeah, guys, the Pena Mula I think is going to be for someone that wants to get a knife that is going to be a little bit more modern, has M390 blade steel. Again, it retails for about 280 bucks. If you can find it, then grab it as soon as you can. And if you really enjoy playing with your knives, then go for it. And again, guys, the biggest disadvantage with this knife is going to be the pocket clip, and then as well as these cutouts from the lock bar. It's going to destroy your pants nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, throw me a thumbs up. If you disliked it, throw me a thumbs down, and I promise you I will do better next time. If you're new to this channel, then consider hitting that subscribe button and then ringing that bell icon so you know when that next video is live. I post 1 to 2 videos every single week so that you guys have fresh new content. Besides that, guys, I guess we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.